Good morning, everybody. After a tragedy hits national headlines, sometimes world news, people seek actionable accountability, consequences, and punishment. This video is going to discuss the what, where, when, why, and how of this tragedy. What I saw was an actual interview with the mother of this child, and I also saw some very graphic, disturbing injuries that the child sustained. So let's answer the questions, starting with where. This happened in the Bahamas at Bimini Cove Resort and Marina. From their own website, it looks like there are vacation condo rentals all the way around. In the middle is a marina. That's what it looks like to me. Having never stayed there, I'm just looking at the photos. On the outskirts of the condos, it's all sand, which opens up to the ocean, as far as I can tell. There's also a pool, maybe more than one. I only saw one in the photo I saw. But the beach is vast. It's a lot of white sand. It's beautiful. The next question is, when? According to the news outlets, this took place Tuesday, July 28, 2026, at approximately between 10 and 10:30 a.m. Why? According to interviews with the family, the minor child stepped away from the condo with the parents' knowledge to collect some sand from the beach, the sandy area. And again, looking at the photos, I got the impression that would be on the outskirts of the condos. I didn't see any information on how long the child was collecting sand for, or the time from when he left the condo until the tragedy took place. I didn't see anything, so I can't answer that. But I did ask Google specific questions about the sandy area because I wanted to know. The condos there are at ground level with the sandy area, meaning one could potentially step out of the condo and have sand right there. Or it's about a 1 to 3 minute walk, or 100 to 300 feet distance to reach the actual body of water, the ocean, surrounding this resort. The next question is how. The details aren't specific. According to CBS News Miami, police say child was on the sand, collecting sand. A bystander came along. The child was attacked by dogs. The bystander was able to shoo them away or get them away. And the child went back to the condo to seek his mother out. At which time the mother reports the child was saying, "Dogs, dogs," and they called for help. The U.S. Coast Guard came and airlifted the child to a hospital where he's recovering. Also, apparently this man, bystander, witness left the scene. I'm not sure where he was, where he came from, or any of that. It didn't say. It was initially reported that the dogs were wild and roaming in a pack. Because my understanding is islands like this do have wild roaming dogs, but police confirmed the identity of the owner of these dogs that were roaming freely and sentenced the owner to 12 months in prison and ordered the dogs to be put down. I do not know if the dogs have been put down at this time. There is outrage across social media. This happens whenever we see a tragedy that appears like it could have been prevented. And people express their opinions. It comes from a place of caring. It comes from a place of shock, grief, disbelief. The following statements came directly from social media platforms. They are not my personal beliefs or opinions, okay? So the first one, many people are praying for the family and the child. The second one, many people are calling for stricter dog laws and owner laws. The third one, many people are calling for maximum imprisonment of the dog owner. The fourth one, people want to know, where were the parents? Why weren't they watching the child? Why was the child allowed to go out of the condo on his own? 5, people are afraid of dogs and don't know what they would do if they were ever attacked or saw somebody being attacked. Number 6, people express shock and can't imagine these circumstances happening to them or somebody they know. Number 7, and this one really was a very, very keen question, I thought. The person said this: why was the bystander so capable of just shooing the dogs away when they're in the middle of mauling a child victim? How is that even possible? Because dogs are relentless in situations like this when they're in an act of mauling. From that comment, I do have questions. Was he a guest of the resort? Did he work at the resort? From my understanding of the news outlets, he left the scene. Was he familiar with the dogs? And this is by no means passing judgment on this person. I don't know who this is. I haven't found the identity of this person. I'm not going to scrutinize the bystander or try to figure out why it is that he was able to get the dogs off of the child, but it is a very valid question, because you often see news reports, somebody's mauled by a dog, and even a Marine, a U.S. Marine, can't get the dogs off. I saw that last week. A woman was brutally attacked in her front yard, and a Marine was driving by, jumped out of his truck. 3 other bystanders were there, and he could not get the dogs off. So it does beg the question, how is that possible? Looked into some facts about this resort, and these facts came from Google. Google says this resort is considered safe and family friendly. There's a very low crime rate there. It's less crowded, making it ideal for young children. It's at ground level as well as elevated floors with balconies. However, Google does advise, if you are on an elevated floor with a balcony, it is imperative parents watch their young children and toddlers. It does not specify that about the ground level units. I dug a little deeper because I wanted to see the reviews of this resort for myself to see what people were saying about their stay there. One person left a review, which I found chilling, because this is what they said. We had little privacy. Everything from outside could be heard clearly inside. This person referred to their unit as an apartment. I'm not sure if there's a separate classification or if they're using it as just one word. Some people call it a condo, some people call it an apartment. I'm not sure. This person called it an apartment. If there are 2 types of buildings, an apartment and a condo, were they built different? Do the condos and the apartments have different sound barriers? That's a question I would like to know. The review says, if you are traveling with children, you have to take a boat at your expense to get to any attractions. But they didn't specify anything about the sand. So I think they meant other things that go on there on the island itself that you can get to by boat. But they also said this: the security guards were very rude. I guess they went into a place to use a bathroom with their children, and the security guards were yelling, telling them that they're not allowed to do that. And then they also said this, and this review was pretty recent. It said the whole marina is up for sale. Another reviewer, even back further, said a beautiful place to visit with family in a relaxed atmosphere. I did a little digging further, and I asked Google, is it safe to let children go unsupervised at Bimini Resort? And this is what Google said. While it is a quiet, family-friendly area, there is open water. There are sudden drop-offs. There's marine life, dangerous marine life, and there's lack of lifeguard surveillance on the sand or in the water. and that presents a real risk. There are also quick shifting tides and currents to deeper waters. So in other words, you could be swept out to sea, apparently. And the dangers in the marine life include nurse sharks, stingrays, and barracudas, which go into the more shallow areas of the water. Google also went on to say other concerning things, like the remote access is limited to emergency medical resources, and also the sandy areas sit right next to an active marina channel, boat traffic, swimming pools, and require constant visual oversight. I also came across a forum discussing this very resort, and this is what people had to say. This place recommended as safe for a young child and a toddler. And this is what people said about it. It's one of the safest places in the world. Your family will be fine. Another person said, wait a minute, there's not much medical care at all, which as a parent is scary. A third person said it's completely safe. We roamed the island with our kids. The locals are kind and fun. The other person said it is the perfect place for a family getaway. It's safe, especially for kids. Another person said it's very safe and ideal for families with children. There are quieter sections of beach with hardly any people. And a final person said, we are a family with small children. The resort and marina is gated with 24-hour security. After reading all of this information, I try not to judge a situation without all of the facts. And I don't have all of the facts. I have questions. One of my concerns was that somebody said they could hear everything from the outside and they felt they had no privacy. Is that true? Or were they mad at the resort for some reason and just spouted that out? That's something to consider. Because according to the mother's interview, and again, I am not passing judgment on these folks. They have been through horrendous hurt and shock. But I do have questions. If that is true, did they not hear screaming? Did anybody else hear screaming? Maybe there are other witnesses that heard it, saw it, have not come forward with it. Is that why the bystander showed up? Because he heard screaming, So yeah, I do have questions, but it's not my place to judge this. My heart aches for this family and this child. Here's a list of the questions I have. And again, no judgment here. I'm just curious. And why the news outlets today, they don't give you answers. They give you very broad, vague statements. But we may never know the answers. But here are some of mine. How far away did the child go from the condo? The mother said in her interview the child was actually looking at little hermit crabs the night before with the family. Is it possible he went back down to the water, which is, according to Google, 100 to 300 feet away from the condos? Was the child out that far? And if so, that could explain why nobody heard him screaming. Or was he right outside the door of the condo? We don't know. How long was the attack? Nobody has specified that I've seen. Time frame is between 10 and 10:28 a.m. They don't really have an exact time. How long did this attack occur? I want to know who the bystander was. Was he interviewed? And if there were cameras, is he somebody that works there? I think I said that earlier. Is he somebody that vacations there? Does he own an apartment there? Was he familiar with the dogs? Did he know these dogs? Is that why he was able to shoo them off? Even if he knew these dogs, it doesn't mean he was able to prevent this attack or stop it. But it is interesting that he was able to get the dogs away from the child. And thank you for that, whoever you are. Thank you for doing that, because a lot of people today, they would just walk on by or record it with their cell phone. Thank you for putting your own life in harm's way to protect that child. If they did know the owner, or somebody knew the owner, was it because the dogs were problematic in the past? Did this owner have problems with these dogs before? Even more important, why were the dogs allowed to roam at this resort? From my understanding that I'm getting, it's like a private resort. It's gated with surveillance, with security guards. Did the person live at the resort? Did they have an apartment there? Did they have a condo there? Were they vacationing there? Were they with their family? How did this go down? Because it's very confusing to me. Did they just come off of a boat? Does the guy go there by boat and the dogs jumped off onto the sand and saw the little kid? I don't know. And my final question, where were the security guards stationed during this time? Are they in booths? Are they in one room at the resort? Do they actively walk the beach? Are there signs? Is there information about don't let your kids walk on the beach by themselves, supervise all children under age, whatever? My final thoughts. Sometimes a tragedy is just that. Sometimes, A, there's nothing we could have done to prevent it. It just happens. B, I appreciate good Samaritans who step in when they do. So let's thank this bystander for what he did for this child. C, I can't imagine what the parents are feeling right now. They have a GoFundMe page started, and the last I saw this morning, they had raised $250,000, and they're looking for millions. Now, I just want to say this, and this is not my opinion, and it's just a comment I read. People are wondering how they can afford all these trips and lavish vacations, but yet need money to pay medical bills. They must have insurance. Sometimes insurance doesn't cover things like reconstructive facial surgery, which the child may need. This story is tragic and heartbreaking, and the last thing that little boy needs right now is people attacking his family. It's good to ask questions. It holds people accountable. But at the end of the day, every single human on the planet has had something happen to them. Thankfully, I've never had a tragedy like this. But we all have had something happen to us that could have been prevented. And then we feel stupid when it happens. Like, really? This is what happened? So please consider this little boy before passing judgment on his parents and saying they're at fault. Thank you so much for watching today. Take care.